NYRA is doing a great job of acknowledging the full range of women's roles in horse racing, unlike most other racing organizations. What plans does NYRA have for the future to market the NYRA brand and tracks to females as both fans and potential professionals in the sport?
Well, whoever asked that question, thank you very much. We had a very successful event here in Saratoga called Fabulous Fillies Day, where we were able to raise $100,000 for breast cancer research. I would like to see us do the same thing at Belmont. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The first weekend day of that month is October 5th, and we're going to do something. We may do something much smaller this year, but we're going to do it well so it can grow in time to be as successful as what you are able to achieve here in Saratoga. Other things for women include the fact that I frankly I hope many women will attend our function at Belmont on September 21st. You know, if you don't know how to bet successfully, you can find it to be a daunting exercise. But to have a chance to listen to the experts in this field, I think that education will give people more power, more confidence, and they will be willing to bet more, and I think they'll be more successful. And finally, I've mentioned to you that if you look at our video board, you'll see stories of people. And we are in the process of filming stories of women who have come together to become very successful owners. Women who are very successful trainers. In fact, we were sitting at this very table last year when someone asked, last month, when they were asking what's the most memorable moment of your Travers, and Linda Rice said, when I beat Todd Fletcher for Trainer of the Year, or Trainer of the Meet. And so and we're going to focus on Linda and Jenna, and then also on the jockeys. We've got Rosie, for example, is somebody who I just admire her true grit and her strength. You know, the other day we were talking about what it takes to be a great jockey, and you had to have this combination of strength and athleticism. And Rosie certainly has it. So you'll watch the boards, hopefully during the remaining portion of the Saratoga meet, and certainly at Belmont, where you'll see those kind of stories and more.
As a fundraiser years ago, Boy Scouts were given permission to collect cans and bottles in the picnic area. To support the backstretch community, could NYRA approach a vendor such as Coors or Coke, asking them to provide bottle and can receptacles which state that deposit proceeds will benefit the backstretch community?
Actually, Eric, you'll see at the end of the day with cleaning up either the backyard or even out on the apron, it is probably 70 or 80% of the backstretch workers. Next to the tent that's set up over near the rec center, there's actually redemption machines to accommodate the backstretch workers that do collect the cans and recycle the cans over there. So it currently is taking place. It's not designated as exclusively the backstretch workers, but if you watch the actions that happen, it's already underway.
Okay. I would like to know who is responsible for maintaining the ethical integrity of horse racing at Saratoga. On August 16th this year, the first race, people all over the country witnessed the incorrect placement of the true first place finisher. We must be ever vigilant on this.
I'll take that, Eric. So the on track, we have three stewards. We have a jockey club steward, we have a NYRA steward, and then we have a state steward that we call it. You know, they kind of oversee the track operations when the races are running. And as far as the photos finish is concerned, we have 4 placing judges. And between those gentlemen, there's way over 100 years of experience, and integrity is probably at the top of their list, and is taken very, very seriously day in and day out. You know, we run a lot of races at all 3 tracks. The technology we have as far as the photo finish, you know, is very clear and concise pictures. And if that person who's here today asked that question, I actually have the photo for you, the win photo and the show photo, if you'd like to see it, and you can actually have it and take it home if you wish.
What does it show?
It shows the photo of the win and the show. I have it here. I mean, it's hard. It's smaller, so if you'd like to see it afterwards, you're more than happy to come up and I can show it to you. And it's basically two photos of the August 16th first race. And here's the win photo. It's hard to see from here, but you can see it when you come up after. And then here is the show photo that it shows. It's very clear, concise, and then there's separation between all the horses.
All right, thanks, PJ. We've now gone through our the questions that were submitted online. I want to take a moment right now to recognize a couple of people who are in the audience. What they do is certainly in the spirit of this evening here. Patrick Connors and Michael Amo of the New York Racing Fan Advisory Council. If you're, I see you right there, would you stand up? They do great work on behalf of, everything they do is dedicated to fans and their likes, dislikes, experiences, good, bad, and indifferent. And if anybody would like to learn more about their organization and get involved and see what they're all about, you can certainly do so online, but you have an even better opportunity tonight to speak to Patrick and Michael. So Michael and Patrick, thank you very much for coming tonight.
Michael's also got an organization called Thoroughfan that you might also want to ask about.
Very good. Okay, we have in the back Donnie Nelson. Donnie's in the back there with a handheld microphone in his hand. So if anybody would like to ask either a question that they forgot to submit or just might have dawned on them while you were sitting here, or maybe you want to follow up on a question or an answer that was communicated earlier this evening, now's a great opportunity to do so. I see we happily have some time, and we will start with this gentleman right here in row 2.
I have a question about season tickets. Every year I buy, season tickets for every day of the meet. And the last 2 years I've had problems with it. I buy them in the grandstand because I like seeing the stretch drive and coming around a turn. I'm always by the 8th pole. And the last 2 years I've gotten seats every day, the seats I wanted, except for Travers. Both the last 2 years, last year I didn't get any seats at all for Travers. And this year I got seats in a different few rows back. And last year I made a complaint to NYRA about the fact I didn't get any seats at all for Travers. And he had a vice president at the time, Stephen Travers, I think he's still there. He went out of his way. He got me seats, even though they were sold out. And he apologized and he explained to me how the system works. So this year I sent in my request, which the request itself I think is much more difficult than it has to be. I mean, why can't I just check off a box and say I want seats for every day to meet, instead of having to fill in every day, tell them how many seats I want. And I always buy seats that are not available except on a daily basis. They're called sun seats because they're in the front, and they're the first race or two you're sitting in the sun. But why is it so difficult to get the same seats every day? And why is it different on Travers?
I've had that same experience happen to me for 2 years. I finally got a hold of the head of NYRA at the time, and they gave me my seats, and they said some executive took them for his customers.
Well, I don't know. I think that what you may have found out is that when I don't know it, I say I don't know. We'll look into it. Look, there may be situations where I don't know what happened with this executive. If there was a situation where we had a sponsor that sponsors something for $100,000, are we going to find seats for that person or that organization? We certainly are. But I'll look into your situation, because what I hear you saying, I think, is I have a season ticket. I have it there every day of the meet, but for Travers, I get moved to a different location or I don't get a ticket at all.
Right.
And I'll look into that.
More questions? Yes, right here, dead center.
Yeah, just to follow up on the question with the badges and the backstretch, why would we not require it? I know I'm an owner. I walk back there many times. Nobody ever stops me and asks me for a badge. And if you have a visitor in a backstretch, you issue a badge that they're supposed to wear. I just wonder what would the problem be just saying, display the badge?
There is no problem with saying display the badge. One of the issues, as you mentioned, with visitors coming in as a licensed trainer to have access or an owner to get to the barn area, as you're aware, you'd stop at the stable gate and sign that person in as a visitor. But the access points coming through, whether it's by Horse Haven or whether it's across from the rec center, there's direct public access to the racetrack, not through the barn area. And I'm sure next to your barn or the barns on those roads, you've seen the signs that say authorized personnel only. We certainly don't have a security guard by every barn or every area, but we're just trying to limit the access to where the patrons that are parking in those areas on Oklahoma or in the lowlands can make it to the track.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't know why you wouldn't have people wear the badge. On a separate topic, on the giveaways, I was always wondering why NYRA doesn't have a sponsor for the giveaways. You go to the baseball games, everybody's giving away everything every game, and there's always a sponsor.
No, you're right. I mean, it'll be, the whole giveaways is something we're going to look at as well over the winter time and figure out a better way to do it. Because there are obviously some sponsors. I mean, you heard David talk about Trackus. Well, we're going to put Trackus in at Belmont. Next summer will be the first summer we're going to have Trackus at Saratoga. I can't imagine a better sponsor than Trackus at Saratoga. You know, so we'll look into that.
Chris, thank you for bringing up Trackus, because I just realized I had a question here that I neglected to ask about it, so somehow I think that was no accident.
No, it wasn't an accident.
Yes, right in the middle, 3 rows up.
Yeah, nobody has mentioned Aqueduct Racetrack. Is there any plans to upgrade that crumbling building? The casino next door is gorgeous. I have to go to the bathroom in the casino. I can't go at Aqueduct.
I'm looking forward to moving to Aqueduct in November. The fact of the matter is that we are at a very unique time in the history of New York racing. And we need to look and see, well, what can we do with those 2 facilities in Long Island? And to what extent does this create an opportunity for us to enhance one or both or monetize one? We just don't know at the moment. We don't have all the answers. And so one of the things that the board has done is created a long-range planning committee to address that and other situations. And we will be retaining a firm that will help us provide us with data on what is working at other racetracks around the country, what are some of their best practices, what are some of the trends we see at racetracks around the world. And in addition, we're also going to look at what's being offered to the consumer in the New York area for other entertainment sports venues, and to what extent do we need to have the same or even better to be successful in the years ahead. And so it makes sense for us to conduct that analysis before we spend any money, because we may end up making a decision that we may only be at one of those places for a relatively short period of time. So that is one of the most important things that we'll be doing over the next 12 to 24 months.
This might track into sort of the answer you were just giving, but what, if anything, is NYRA going to be planning to do in the next couple of years to try to bring the Breeders' Cup back to the East Coast and potentially New York?
Shall I take that one? I think the important thing for us is to create a facility that will work for our fans. We have great fans here in New York, and we want to make sure we have a place that owners want to come. They want to bring their family and their friends, and they want to bring people who may become the next generation of owners. We want to have a place for all of you fans that want to come. Then we can address the Breeders' Cup issue. So that's our first priority. With respect to the Breeders' Cup, they want to make sure that they have horses that participate in the British events that occur in the middle of October. That means that in many years, the event would occur on the first weekend in November. The first weekend in November, as you may know, is also the weekend of the New York Marathon. And so hotel rooms are at a premium. To the extent there would be an opportunity for us to have it in a year where it's the last weekend of October, that is certainly a possibility worth exploring. But we're going to need to, I think, first address our concerns a moment ago. As you said, it ties into the question of what will the Belmont facility be like, and to what extent can it meet the requirements of our owners, our fans, our trainers, and our jockeys, and then we'll see if it also can meet the time frame and other requirements of the Breeders' Cup. If it does, if it would work, it might be great. But it's first and foremost, we want to take care of this for our fans.
Gentleman in red there, Donnie.
Has there ever been any thought to opening up like the infield for Travers Day? I think a lot of other tracks do that for their bigger days. I'm not saying you could put a lot of people out there, but it might ease the congestion at Saratoga, especially for bigger days when there's a big crowd.
I'll take that. Unfortunately, I know in the past they've talked about doing that, and coming from down at Maryland and being the track man down at Pimlico for 4 years, the infield, without having a tunnel and without having the ability to get patrons out there, Pimlico does have a tunnel. They set up the trams to go across one single turf course. In order for us to do that up here with 2 turf courses, as well as the infrastructure that would be needed to handle whether it's tenting, generators. At this point, it's not something that I would like to move forward with for what it means to handling things out with the turf, getting out on across the turf course, as well as whether it's patrons, fans. You're talking about putting up fencing. We're not set up for it for that one day. It's a different scenario, even what you see at Santa Anita or Del Mar or even for the Kentucky Derby. They've got access tunnels, they've got patron tunnels, they've got the infrastructure set up for it. Unfortunately, at all 3 of our locations, we're not set up for it at this point.
If I might add to that dialogue about the infield, besides the physical situation of not being able to get people out there, I might draw attention to the fact that a few years ago, you probably all remember that Don Klippitcher wrote a 1-page piece about what is wrong with us, what our thinking with the infield at the Kentucky Derby, that the Derby and the Preakness have become drunk fests. And I mean, it's a fact. I mean, that idiotic thing about King of the Infield contest that Churchill Downs had, I don't know that we want to bring that reputation, that mess to Saratoga. It's a disgusting thing that they would, for $40 you can go to the infield and get drunk. The first time I went to the Derby in 2005, I was standing waiting for my van back to our hotel, and a very nice young fellow almost barfed on my feet, and he was talking about how much fun it was in the infield. Besides the physical problems with that, do we want to do that to our elegant, beautiful Saratoga and change the infield forever?
Lots of hands, Donnie. Take your pick.
Thank you. 2 thoughts on fan development. We talked about the development of women's interest. We have a handicapping contest, the winner of which goes national. Would there be any benefit in developing a women's handicap contest? The second thing would be for our fan development related to our giveaways. We've all seen the attendance at the beginning of the day. What would be the impact, I know it would be cultural around here, if we let everybody get a coupon when they come in the gate, but if they accept or they go and get their gift beginning with the 5th race or something like that, so they'll turn around and learn a little bit about the experience at Saratoga?
Well, with respect to the first question, when I saw the handicapping event, which was really a successful event, I wanted to have men against women, not just have a women division. I'd like to see men against women myself. My daughter, who just turned 30, I'm 40, She came here for the weekend. She said, I'm going to come up August 24th. That's the first day I get off. I said, you're kidding. You know what August 24th is? Anyway, the first wager she ever made was on We'll Take Charge. How about that? So as far as men against women in our house, I know who'd win. But yes, we are going to look at that. And that's, again, why I hope women will attend our event at Belmont on the 21st of September. With respect to giveaways, I think we just need to look at this. I'm a head scratcher when it comes to what we do right now. And I understand there's a tradition and all of that. But I want to look at this and try to come up with a plan that can really work for everybody. And therefore, we may have some changes in next year's approach. But the one you described is also a very good one.
Over the years, I've become more accustomed to being in the backyard versus in the seats, and it's a very pleasurable experience. You'll see more and more people like me. However, I'm a little bit concerned about the consideration for the fans as it relates to high-definition TV, bringing that front yard experience to the back. The technology that you provide us is really 1990, 1980 TVs. I understand we have the equipment, the video equipment, to broadcast in high definition. But the TVs, at this point in time, I think they're like $300 a piece. And you call them mushrooms, there's only 3, maybe 4 or 5 TVs in each mushroom. In the days when we have maiden races for $90,000, why can't the fans be provided an avenue to experience the sport at its fullest? I just don't understand.
And that's one of the things that we tested. And if you, next time you're at the track, if you look at the one mushroom that's right next to the big red spring, you'll see there's three flat screens over there that we just wanted to make sure that they would weather the winter, so that way we could get those set up to know that leaving them out and just being able to put plywood over them like we normally do with the other sets. So it will be the backyard as well that will get upgraded with flat screens. And the current technology that you're referring to and the other boards that are out there, whether it's next to the paddock, whether it's next to the big red spring, the festival tent, behind the carousel, or the Round Mutual, I should say, or by the carousel, those are all video displays that will be upgraded for next year. The new board that we have down at Belmont that's located right next to the walking ring, it's an 8 by 15 size, 8 foot by 15 foot screen, 10 millimeter. It's beautiful, and that's what we're looking at replacing up here as well.
Glenn, just correct me if I'm wrong. As I see it, the few experimental high definition TVs, they don't receive a high definition signal, full analog signal.
It must be on the wrong channel, because they flat screens that are set up throughout the building, I think it's channel 3.1 that they have set up, are